Hello and welcome to Sport Tonight. I'm Cecilia Omogbe in Lagos.
Sport greetings to you wherever you are in the world watching us in London. I'm Austin Okonakwa. And Cecilia, so much going on in our world of sports. When we spoke to Daniel Igali 2 nights ago, he said he wanted at least one wrestler to qualify for the next Olympics in Paris, and Odunayo Adekroye answered that call. Beautiful one.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know so much. Also got us talking yesterday in the UEFA Champions League, and there is the Europa also going on. So it's an action-packed world of sports, and I see somewhere in there sports development, under 18 girls. You know, I love it at the grassroots. So Cecilia, let's do this.
Let's do this. It's a loaded package, as Austin mentioned. Of course, we'll be talking about handball. Our Nigeria under-18 team, they've qualified. The girls, of course, they've qualified for the Handball World Championship taking place later this year. And also, we'll touch down on wrestling. Austin just mentioned Odunayo Adekroye, of course, the first wrestler from Nigeria to pick a ticket for the Olympic Games in Paris. And also, touch down on the Super Eagles of Nigeria, the port they are currently in ahead of the draw for the Africa Cup of Nations, which will be taking place in Côte d'Ivoire starting in January. And of course, that draw will be done October 12th, precisely on Thursday. So we'll talk about the ports where Super Eagles are and the teams they're likely to face because of that draw that has been done. And also talk on the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Remember how Sao Tome and Principe didn't come after conceding 16 from the men's team. The women didn't want to take something like that. So the Falcons, of course, will start preparations. Either it's going to be Liberia or Cape Verde. That's the other team. Those will be playing tomorrow. We'll also touch down on that. Of course, Austin mentioned UEFA Champions League. That obviously will get our attention on the program tonight. Of course, we're not just alone on the show. It's a Thursday, but you don't have the regular Thursday analyst. Inyobong is right here in the studio. It's been a while. I'm trying to remember the last time I actually had a show with you. Like, it was for this morning, maybe 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, quite a long time, but great to be here. Absolutely magnificent facilities you guys have here. I'm absolutely delighted to be here.
So it's nice to have you here. All right, let's touch down on it. Austin, of course, we're starting with wrestling. I know you're jumping on the beats to talk about this because of what happened to Odunayo Adekroye when Igali was talking about, yes, he wanted at least one athlete to pick a ticket for Paris, and Odunayo was the one who hit the call. Bronze medal match that she won a bronze medal at the World Championship taking place in Belgrade in Serbia, and that, of course, got a ticket for her.
You know, Daniel Igali and the Nigeria Wrestling Federation would have loved to get 3 out of 6, available slots, but they were able to get just one. And he told us on this show how unfortunate Messi Genesis was, how painful the defeat Anna Rubek conceded was. I was thinking that Blessing Oborodudu would have done enough to also qualify, but look, this is sports where anything can happen, and we're still proud of the women wrestling team that went to Serbia to represent Nigeria. That's Odunayo Adekroye. She won a bronze medal fight, and that was just enough for her to qualify for Paris 2024 Olympics. Let's also take the positives out of some of the new names we were also seeing and monitoring. Esther Kolawole is a fantastic prospect. I'd love to see her go to the Olympics. I've watched her train in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, and she's got so much quality in her. Christina is also a new name we're talking about. I strongly believe Messi Genesis can pick a ticket to the Olympics also. So shout out to the wrestling team. You know, you go to this sort of competitions and these championships in Serbia, and you pick valuable experience because you get to meet those same opponents, you know, at subsequent competitions. So they will learn from this and see ways to, you know, pick tickets to the Olympics. But the burning issue, it's not just the women now, the men. But I'm sure we don't want to get into that conversation now, Cecilia.
But let me throw this to you. So Odunayo Adekroye wrestling against, an athlete from Turkey, Evira Kamalogu, 9-5. That's how it ended in the 3rd place match. Of course, she won that bronze medal match. You also have other athletes who also competed. Blessing Ododu that Austin just mentioned, she lost in the quarterfinals, narrowly losing. Also, you also have Esther Kolawole also losing to an athlete from Norway in the quarterfinal. and if their opponent had gone into the final, they would have played in the repechage where they will have to compete for a ticket. But that didn't just happen for these athletes. But Oduor 29-year-old, after missing the African Championship earlier this year, bouncing back, winning a bronze medal, and then, of course, getting a ticket.
Absolutely refreshing for someone who is an elite athlete. You always think that even when they have momentary setbacks, they have that quality, that class to be able to, find themselves back into winning ways, and it's great for her. I'm really pleased. I'm pleased that she's going to be in Paris, and that is also a massive plus for Nigeria. You would obviously would think that over the years we've built so much with wrestling that we should have more than one athlete representing us at the Olympics, but it's better late than never. Better one than none. It's great for her. For me, I always feel like she's a top athlete. She's an absolutely elite athlete, and her consistency over the years, might struggle with injuries here and there, poor form here and there, but that class, you always hear things like class is permanent. And when push comes to shove, she has come out again and shown how good she is and how good she can be. And hopefully this is a good stepping, stone for her to build some momentum, build some consistency, because it's not enough to qualify for Tokyo. It's about, building that consistency, because in the end, when you go to Tokyo, Paris, the mindset would be to be on the podium. The mindset is about being on the podium, and that's what I'm sure a top athlete like Odunayo should be thinking about. I'm certain that's what she's thinking about.
Yeah, I'm sure, because the last two Olympics she's been to, in Rio 2016, it was a disappointing one, because all eyes were obviously on her. In Tokyo 2020, Blessing Obrodudu, we didn't expect a medal from her, but she got the silver medal. But it was also a disappointing one for her. And this is the third time she's picking a bronze medal, the World Championships, and of course she's going to her third Olympics. Just maybe, who knows, Paris might just be, where she will get the medal that she's been aiming for at the Olympic level. Yes, when it comes to Commonwealth Games, she's a good medalist at the last Commonwealth Games. We all know that. But when it comes to the Olympics, that's where she really needs to see what she can do differently. So, Austin, the youth that you mentioned, let's go to that, talking about handball, the under-18 national team. They've qualified for the World Youth Championship, defeating Morocco 28-14 in the quarterfinal. Of course, that actually, gave them the ticket to get to the Olympics.
People might say, what is Austin, jumping about this victory over Morocco? See, in Africa, if you beat Morocco now in any competition, you should. That parable we grew up hearing in Nigeria, that when a lizard falls off the tree and no one applauds the lizard, the lizard looks left, looks right, and we nod. I give this under-18 handball team all the respect they deserve, because Morocco is the model for anything Africa sports development at the moment. If you think I'm bluffing or telling lies, ask the producer of Sports Tonight, Irene. He went there to see the amount of work, the facilities that they have. So when the handball team were preparing in Lagos, Morocco was probably having the best preparation ever, with the best facilities. But then these young girls, under 18, that only prepared at Road Park in Lagos, was still trying to put Road Park in a good state for, to be ranked amongst infrastructure that can, be termed okay, not even fantastic. And they went to beat Morocco 28-14. 28-14, and with that, they've qualified for the 2024 International Handball Federation Women's World Youth Championship. And this is it. When you qualify for an international competition, your thinking changes. You start thinking beyond the competition. These girls can now dream that they've achieved this at this level. They must take it a step further. They must consolidate. It goes beyond just the players, the coaches. We need to also change their thinking, because you need to sustain the momentum. Now you've moved from one stage to another. So the federation now, if you gave them level 2 preparations for the qualifiers at the World Youth Championship level, you must step it up by 2 more steps. Take it to level 4, speak to these girls, because at this level, it's long-term planning, Cecilia. It's developmental. So while we're celebrating this and saying they did a great job beating Morocco to qualify for the World Youth Championship, it's just a reminder that there's still a lot of work to be done. And I'm sure in your bong, you will agree with me.
Yeah, certainly. 100%. I agree with that, because obviously when you qualify from the African region, it's the level of competition is not the same at the world stage.
Yes.
When you get to the world stage, you need just more than ability. There has to be great mentality, preparation has to be bang on the money. You've got to think about, how do we psych up these girls? How do we motivate them to go there and perform at the highest level? The level of experience, obviously we don't have experience at that level, first time qualifying, and for girls that young, a lot of them, you've got to factor in the thinking of them probably traveling for the first time outside of the country. How do they hold their nerves? How do they compose themselves to perform? You need a lot of psychology working in the advantage. And so Austin is spot on. It's not just enough to qualify. Great to qualify. Congratulations to them, and big ups to the manager. I was listening to him talking about the fact that he's the first coach to do that. Singing his praises a little bit, and I mean, when you do that for the first time, there's always that feeling of, I've done something great, and I think he can give himself a pat on the back, but it's not enough, to qualify. There's a lot more to do. There's a lot more in terms of preparation, like I said, and hopefully we can put our acts together. We always use that cliche, put our acts together and ensure that we give the girls the best opportunity to go out there and perform. Nobody's expecting them to win the World Youth Championship, but we're saying go out there and perform and compete.
Yeah, it's competing, because Austin mentioned, I'll take a step further, they will be playing Egypt on Friday, 6:30 p.m. precisely Nigerian time. That's in the semi-finals. And later in the year, they're expected to compete at the Women's Trophy Intercontinental phase. They'll compete that later in the year before the World Championship. So I think if they can maybe beat Egypt semi-finals, maybe go ahead, to win the African Youth Championship, that will also put them in a better state, when they go into the World Cup, because already they've got that championship mentality.
Exactly.
So champions mentality. Then go to the Intercontinental phase, and then that will also prepare them, because you have other countries coming in, prepare them for the World Championship in China, which is next year. And hopefully funds won't be a problem. They'll have that necessary preparation. And then we don't have, after winning, you tell them congratulations, but what happens to the process of preparations? That's actually what we really need to work on. Can do that. I think they'll do well. Yeah,
I think so too. And hopefully the powers that be in handball in Nigeria are listening. Hopefully that they will do the right thing, do right by the girls. And I always say that what we do not give, the talent we have in this country the necessary push, the necessary, encouragement or motivation, if you like, because there's an amalgam of talents in this country, whether it's in, or when also used to talk about it, scream about it, that Nigeria is not just a football nation. We are an all-rounder in terms of sports, and in every facet of our sport, you'd hope that there would be the necessary encouragement, the necessary motivation, because you need that encouragement. And for when you talk about girls this young, under 18, it's at that point where you need to, give them that kick on the backside. So hopefully they do what we're saying. Hopefully they do right by these girls, and hopefully we go on and turn on the style of the World Championships.
Yeah, hopefully they can turn that on in style. Austin, so let's go to the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We'll have the seeded teams. They now have different pots where they are in. So for Super Eagles of Nigeria, it's like they're likely going to be facing teams like Senegal, Morocco, Algeria. But let's just take a look at the pot if we have it ready. So we'll just reel out what it's like right now. So now Africa Cup of Nations, Côte d'Ivoire next year. This is what the pot is looking like. Of course, Côte d'Ivoire hosting Morocco, Senegal, Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt. Now Nigeria could face either of these teams, because they go to pot 2 where you have the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Cameroon, Mali, Burkina Faso, Ghana, and of course DR Congo in pot 2. Let's flip over to pot 3 where you have South Africa, Cape Verde, Guinea, Zambia, Equatorial Guinea, and Mauritania make up pot 3. And of course the final pot, Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique, Namibia, Angola, Gabon, and Tanzania. These are the teams you have the seedings now done by CAF. So we'll now wait for the draw that will be done October 12th to see where the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be in. Inabong, let me start with you in the studio before I go to Austin in London. I mean, we've seen the seedings, and if you take a look at what we have in pot 1, sometimes that's what's good for you. Your ranking, Nigeria is ranked 6th right now in Africa, and 40th in the world. Okay, it's like, I mean, when you keep hearing that we should have been in pot 1, but we're not there, so we're in pot 2. And look at the teams in pot 1. The likelihood that, okay, yeah, over to you.
Of course, if you want to win the Africa Cup of Nations, there is no chance you're going to avoid a Senegal or a Morocco or an Algeria or an Ivory Coast. You've got to, find a way, past those people before you can win the Africa Cup of Nations. And our ranking is not great. We're better than where we are at the moment in terms of talent. I talked about it a little moment ago, that we've got so much talent in this country that we should be a lot better than we are at the moment. But obviously there are issues that we've said many times, that we need to build our sport and build our football in the way it should be. But that should scare you, that you're going up against Senegal, going up against Morocco, because those two particularly are the leading lights in African football in terms of what they're doing, their development, in terms of what they're doing, the achievements in the past few years. Morocco, Senegal particularly have done so well, African champions. At all levels. At all levels on the 2020. It's a dominance that we haven't seen in a very long time. And if you are, for instance, getting a group with Senegal, and African football from the last couple of AFCONs, we've demonstrated clearly that African football is not exactly where it used to be 10 to 15 years ago. That thing we used to call minnows in football doesn't exist anymore. Forget that we beat Sao Tome 6-0. I mean, if you go to a tournament and you face any team now in African football, you're not going to win 6-0 at the AFCON. It's not going to happen, because the level has gone up. There's development everywhere. People are building their leagues, their structures are getting better. So I don't think we should be worried, because I think Nigeria is always Nigeria. I mean, we've got Victor Osimhen in our team, but we've got really good players, and I don't think we should be worried that much.
Austin, no worries. That's it from Inabong. Worry for you? I mean, you look at the ports and you see where Nigeria is, and you look at port 1 and you see Senegal, you see Morocco, I mean, you see these teams, and you're asking yourself, what's going to happen when the draw is done, October 12th?
No, I won't worry. For me, it's not a worry. It's reality check. Cecilia, if you take away the host Cote d'Ivoire from that pot 1, and then because Senegal, they're proving to be dominant with not just the senior men's football at every level. Senegal.
Even beach soccer to it. Beach soccer is added to it.
There you go. So take away Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal from pot 1. It's a clear testament of what North Africa has been doing for the development of football. Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, and Egypt. I don't get scared when Nigeria comes, across these North African teams, because on our good day, when administration is right and the players really want to play, we can beat any North African team. We were so worried at the last AFCON. Remember our first match? It was against Egypt.
Yes.
And it was so easy. It was such an easy win for the Super Eagles. And when they got to the round of 16, and we were so okay and thought things were fine, Tunisia, that was struggling at the AFCON, sent us out. So with the draw, whatever I want to produce on October the 12th, I will take it. What I will be following from now that we've been dropped into pot 2, I will start checking, should I say, the temperature of the Nigeria Football Federation. I'll start looking at them to see how they will first address this. That isn't it such a shame that Nigeria is in pot 2, where we should be, chilling with the big boys, particularly with what we claim we are with football in Africa. So let's see how they start approaching things. Let's get the news mentions. Let's hear their plans for the AFCON. Let's hear, if we are drawn against Morocco or Egypt or Tunisia or Algeria or even Senegal, no problem, because we've done this, and we're planning to do that and that and that and that before the AFCON. Those sort of things get you prepared. But it is what it is. Somehow, some way, we'll find a way to just, put it together, go to the AFCON, play football, and whatever happens will happen. Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Let's go on this quick break. When we come back, I'm sure we still want to say one or two things about the Super Eagles being dropped in part 2 for the AFCON draw, and then we'll get into what's going on as regards women's football. Sao Tome and Principe say, you think you will humiliate us 2 times, you destroyed our men, and you now think our women will come to be punished, so they're not coming. We'll wait for the next opponent. Sports Tonight, let's go on this quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Hey. Welcome back. Sports Tonight on Channels Television. We're talking about the 2024 AFCON. Teams have been dropped into ports. The Super Eagles are in Port 2, so they'll get to play either of the big teams. Cote d'Ivoire is in Port 1. Tunisia is in Port 1. Senegal, current African champions, are in Port 1. Egypt, and of course Algeria, they're all in Port 1. Morocco also. So Nigeria will get to play any of those teams. And so Nyobong Monday is in Lagos. My colleague Cecilia Mogbe is also in Lagos. Cecilia, it's the Super Eagles.
Yeah, Super Eagles of Nigeria. No problem. Yeah, of course. I was looking through the plethora of strikers that we have in the squad. More than 13. And they're doing so well in their clubs. Frightening, yes. And when you look at that, then you look at Morocco, and you're like, where are the boys? You go to Egypt, where are they? If you mention Salah, you start thinking of other players. If you go to Senegal, you mention Mane, you start thinking of maybe 4 or 5 players. But Nigeria is so easy. You go to Italy, you go to England, you go to, Turkey, everywhere you go to, France. I mean, Germany, you have Nigerian players everywhere. Strikers. And you're not asking yourself, why can't we just win something? Last time was in 2013, let's be catching, right? I mean, it's been a long time. And then another one is coming. We're not even sure, but we're happy right now that the issue of the coach is solved. You know that, okay, Pesero will be in charge, till after the Nations Cup. That's settled now. You keep asking yourself, why can't we just manage these big boys that we have, in their various clubs? Let them replicate what they're doing in their clubs, at the national team level. We can do that. I mean, it's easy for everyone.
I don't think it's that simple. It should be simple.
So hard?
It should be simple, but it's not that simple because obviously you talked about the quality we have in the attacking position. We're not that blessed in other positions on the pitch, and that for me, because as a team, you've got to create a balance to be able to win tournaments, to go in and win tournaments. You talk about Egypt; they're a well-drilled team. They are not a Mo Salah team.
Precisely. That's my point, really. Like, you have team. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
That's something we do not have.
How do we
that's something we do not have. And I don't think it's the fault of the players. I think that, for some reasons, the federation, the Nigerian Football Federation, the powers that be in our football need to find a way, to build a team in terms of consistency. Because if you, for instance, not have the assuredness of having a manager in a job. The manager, there's always uncertainties surrounding the job of a manager. Why can't we get a proper coach? And this is not being disrespectful to Pesero, but is he a top echelon manager? I'm not sure he is. Is he the kind of manager you think can win you trophies? I'm not sure he is. Is he a bad manager? No, he's not. Because to win trophies, you need more than good players to win trophies. You need a manager whose mentality, whose mindset, whose experience, at that level of winning trophies is very important. And maybe Pesero is the guy we have now, but is he the guy who can win you a trophy? I'm not quite sure.
All right. Okay, let's leave it at that and quickly touch on a little bit of the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Yes, Austin mentioned earlier, Sao Tome and Principe, of course, they're not coming. The game should have been played this weekend, but then they'll be playing again in November, and the team they'll be playing against is going to be Cape Verde or Liberia. They'll be in action on Friday. That's where from there you will know the team that the Super Falcons of Nigeria will be facing. So, I mean, camp was called, players were invited. By the end of the day, they'll have to go. They had to go by because our team will not be coming. So we'll wait till November when they'll be in action again. Of course, by then we will know which of this country will be facing, Liberia or Cape Verde, because these teams will be in action on Friday. That's when they will be in action. So let's leave that and quickly move. Or you want to mention something on the Super Falcons of Nigeria? We're also glad that yes, the issue of the coaching is going to till 31st. Of course, NFF has mandated the technical committee to talk. I don't know if it's going to Pesero, talk extensively with not Pesero, Randy Wardrum, talk extensively with him. But we know that from now until October 31st, there is no game now. His contract is going to expire on October 31st, so they still have time. Next game is going to be there's another one. I think there's the Nations Cup. Yeah, Nations Cup is coming up. Nations Cup qualifiers also. That's starting in October. So they still have games to play before the Cape Verde games that they will be playing. So, I mean, you just look at this, like...
We've got to put our house in order. We've got to put our house in order. Obviously, there was a backlog of bad blood, if you like, between him and the federation. Hopefully, the goodwill of the World Cup, with what the girls did at the World Cup, I'm very sure that everybody should be saying, okay, let's just settle, let's sit on the round table and find some agreement.
That's what
obviously, with the way we performed at the World Cup, you would think that the girls, from outside looking, and you would think that the girls back the manager. They stand by the manager. And if the girls like the manager and they want to play for him, you've got to keep the manager going. This is not a time to change. We can't afford another new manager coming in.
Olympics and all that.
Come on, you've got to think about the team. And if we can find an agreement, it would be great for us. Let Randy Waldrum continue. I'm not his biggest fan, but he went to the World Cup and we didn't quite make it to the quarterfinals. But I don't think there's any Nigerian who was not proud of what the Super Falcons did at the World Cup. They were unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. And we need to find an agreement with the manager and just move our football forward.
That's the way to go. Find out and then do it quick and fast. Let's know the fate of the coach. All right, let's go straight to the UEFA Champions League, starting off with the games that were played on Wednesday. You go to Group A, Galatasaray and Copenhagen. That game ended 2-2. Of course, the big one, we'll be dissecting this later. Bayern Munich and Manchester United. When you have United almost losing 3-1 at almost injury time, somehow the results kept changing all the time. Let's flip over to other groups. You go to Group B, where you have Arsenal. They returned after 6 years to the Champions League. It ended, of course, in their own favor at the Emirates right there. PSV Eindhoven didn't have answers for the boys at the Emirates. Sevilla and Lens, it ended 1-0. Sevilla is also planning their Europa League again. The first game, Group C, Real Madrid, it took Jude Bellingham. I mean, what a signing Jude Bellingham has been. 6 games, 6 goals. What a buy he is for Real Madrid. He had to rescue them against debutant Union Berlin, who are making their debut at the UEFA Champions League. FC Braga and Napoli, it ended 2-1, of course, in favor of Napoli. Osimhen wasn't one of those who scored on the night. Group D, Benfica and Salzburg. It was Salzburg beating Benfica 2-0. That's the result most people didn't expect. Real Sociedad and Inter Milan is another shocker. It ended 1-1 in Group D, UEFA Champions League. Feyenoord and Celtic, Feyenoord beating Celtic 2-0. Lazio and Atletico Madrid, I mean, a goalkeeper. The story of this one is what everyone will keep talking about, because the number 94th minute, jersey number 94, a goalkeeper was born in 1994. The whole story is beautiful to tell. That's what football does to you. That's in Group E. Of course, Group F, Newcastle and AC Milan. The games that were decided on Tuesday ended goalless. PSG and Dortmund. PSG had to dig deep to be able to overcome Dortmund, ended 2-0. Group G, Leipzig and Young Boys. Leipzig winning 3-1. Man City and, of course, Red Star Belgrade. Was Man City going a goal down before beating the team at 3-1. Barcelona were on fire against Royal Antwerp. It was 5-0. Shakhtar Donetsk and FC Porto. Of course, FC Porto also on fire against the Ukrainian side. It ended 3-1. So these are all the results from the UEFA Champions League from, of course, games played on Tuesday and also the ones that played on Wednesday. So we're going to go to England now, Austin. I mean, let's take a look at Bayern Munich and, of course, Manchester United, they've not had a good time this season in the league. We're thinking maybe because they're injured, I mean, literally injured. When you have a team who is injured, I mean, they haven't had the best of the season. Harry Kane talked about them because they are hungry. They may just pull something up, but they couldn't do that. Somehow they tried to fight back so many times, coming back. But when you have Onana as your goalkeeper, somehow the goals keep rolling in. Some mishaps.
I don't know about that. Before I get into Bayern Munich and Manchester United,
let's start off with this one, Austin.
Let's give a shout out to Lazio's goalkeeper, Ivan Provedel. You know, what a story. I don't care if any team had beaten any other team 20-0 on week 1 of the Champions League. Ivan gets all my praise, for coming out to do what he did, from his run to when he produced that header. And now in the UK, people are saying that those guys who are into gambling are using the number 94, Cecilia. 94 is always a number to pick, just because of what the Lazio goalkeeper did. Let's go to Manchester United and Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, and they love the UEFA Champions League. Somehow, no matter how depleted a side they are, they just find a way to do well in the UEFA Champions League. It's quite unfortunate. I don't like what's happening to Andre Onana. He's a fantastic goalkeeper. Fantastic. Go back and see the numbers he made for Inter Milan. You understand why Erik ten Hag wanted this Cameroonian goalkeeper. And I spoke with him at, I think it was the last AFCON, just when Cameroon won bronze. And he told me that he wants to do big things with European football. It's just unfortunate that these things are happening, and football is like that. You'll find out that at the end of this season, it might be Onana that we'll be talking about. It might be the turning point for Manchester United. But shout out to Bayern. Some way, somehow, they were determined to win that game, and they did. I will struggle to say Manchester United would have gone to Germany to win that one, because of obvious reasons. They didn't get into that game with the right spirit. That last game against Brighton wasn't a good showing for Manchester United. And look, you're as good as your last game. Anyway, Erik ten Hag and Thomas Tuchel, they have post-match reactions. Let's listen to them.
Yeah, we were first 25 minutes. I think we were better in the game as Munich. And then, that goal that was such easy, but it was not only Andre. If you see how easy Sané is coming through, and that has to do with determination. And you don't let play so easy through. And that's the point. We have to cross the line as individual and as a team to win games. Disappointed. And when you score 3 goals in Munich, at least you have to take a point. But we didn't, and therefore we have to look in the mirror. But the goals were easy giveaways.
All fine. Played him in a bit a different role in a half position today, to turn and to assist into our speed on the sides. But we found him more and more involved than in the second half. Like the whole team, he was more involved, was more fluid. We found him better in the half spaces. Spaces opened up minute by minute. And then he had some chances that he took, which is, of course, fair enough as a number 9, as a goal scorer. And he scored a very important penalty.
Yeah, so that's it. It was a tough game for Manchester United in Auburn Monday, but I think there are some positives in it, particularly when you can go away from home and score 3 goals. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with Erik ten Hag. You cannot concede some of the goals United conceded on the night, and it was a catalogue of mistakes. It was almost embarrassing to see how poorly United defended on the night, and make no mistake about it, they started the game so well. They looked like they were in the ascendancy. They were creating chances. They didn't quite take it, and all of a sudden, one mistake from Onana, and Onana shouldn't be vilified. Mistakes are part of the game. He's a top-class goalkeeper. I agree with Austin. Absolutely world-class. Maybe not world-class will be a stretch, but he's a really top-class goalkeeper. Very good with the ball at his feet. Struggling with the ball at his hands at the moment. But it's it's a situation where the team as a whole isn't quite pulling their weight, and they're conceding far too many goals. Yeah. Shipped 2 against Nottingham Forest, 3 against Arsenal, 3 against Brighton, 4 against Bayern Munich. Like the manager said, at some point when you score 3 goals away from home and come away with a defeat, you've got to look yourself in the mirror and say, what are we not doing right? And I think it's a problem of desire. I look at that Man United team and I don't think the players are doing enough.
There's no leader on the pitch.
Obviously, I don't think they're doing enough in terms of they're not working for each other. Some people are strolling on the pitch. Eriksen, good player on the ball, off the ball, he's not so great. Bruno Fernandes, absolutely amazing footballer, technical footballer, off the ball, he's not the same. And when you have players who are,
what do you do when you're
liabilities? Yeah. When you have players who are liabilities on the pitch, you're going to have problems. And you're playing against a Bayern Munich side who are very pragmatic, who can play possession football. You're always going to concede goals if you're not, getting your acts together, playing as a team. And that's where the manager is struggling. And injuries haven't been fair to them. You've got to admit that, because they've lost 3 of their back 4 now. Luke Shaw is not playing. Rafael Varane is not playing. Wan-Bissaka is injured now. And that can upset even the best of teams when you've got to lose, the core of your back 4. And I think United will be fine. It's just early season, but it's frustrating for the manager because he doesn't think that they're making progress from last season, because this is how exactly they started last season. And it's the same thing. And when you don't start seasons well, Arsenal last season, I'm not sure they wanted to win the title, but they played the first 10 games and wow, I mean, we're here, we're playing well. And when you build that momentum at the start of the season, it's always great. And that's why I'm sure the manager is so frustrated.
Yeah, let's quickly touch on Harry Kane. We saw what Harry Kane did right there. The coach talked about him. 100 million euros. Bayern had to break the bank to get him in. 5 starts, 5 goals. A good. Erik ten Hag already said, they're not missing him, not being able to get him.
He's not saying the truth.
Inspirational, at Bayern. And this is a guy who said he wanted to win titles, and of course, Bayern is going to give him. Just a quick one before we move on.
Obviously, Bayern will guarantee you trophies. I'm not sure Man United will at the moment.
I get that. All right, let's quickly talk about Arsenal. That's another team. They return after 6 years. And, of course, we were able to get that fantastic victory at the Emirates. What a fantastic one for them. When you look at a team like Arsenal and what they've done you just mentioned what they did last season. And, of course, what they're doing in the Champions League. Yes, it's the first round of games, it's their first match, but the way they started, is he a team that you think contenders, when maybe February will still be contenders?
I've seen that being pushed around. I'm not sure Arsenal can compete for the Champions League. I would be surprised if they get to the semi-finals. But they're building something really good. Lots of young players. There were 3, 5, 6 players who were making their Champions League debuts. Lots of 22, 23-year-olds. And that experience, obviously, you would think that if you meet a team like Bayern or Real Madrid, maybe that experience could count. But Arsenal are certainly going in the right direction. You could see the atmosphere at the Emirates yesterday. Yeah, it was absolutely bouncing. And those players are very eager to prove a lot of people wrong, because in the past 2-3 years, people have questioned, you don't win anything with boys, these boys are too young, they can't achieve anything, and it was so fitting that it was Bukayo Saka scoring the first Champions League goal at the Emirates in 6 years, and it was just fantastic to see. And let's see where Arsenal can go from here, but they're certainly on the right channel, and they've got a manager, they've got a group of players who are very excited about the project, and they're doing well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Austin, let's quickly talk about Manchester City. What happened to them on Tuesday? Of course, they went a goal down.
I'm going to mention Napoli because Victor Osimhen did put up a good show.
Yeah. Talking about Napoli, I missed that. Too many things in my head. So let's talk about Napoli quickly. You both move over to I'm champion. Be too good to meet Pep Guardiola. But Victor Osimhen, yes, as you mentioned, he was in action. He got a card. He was everywhere. He didn't get a goal, but then he was inspiring on the field of play on Wednesday night.
He didn't get a goal, but he provided the assist for the first goal, and he was named the man of the match. Tells you this guy is an all-rounder. He's a hard worker. He's a team player. and that shows some maturity. The yellow card just goes to show the amount of work rate he put into the game. It was a good away win for Napoli. Someone would jump at it and say, wasn't it just Braga? Hey, relax. This is the UEFA Champions League where any team can beat any team. And for Napoli, it was important for them to have this sort of good start. They had a good run last season, and everything that they can do for themselves this season is to try to surpass whatever they tried to achieve last season. So shout out to Victor Osimhen for putting up a good shift for Napoli in that game against Braga.
Yeah, okay, let's quickly, just mention Victor Osimhen. I don't know if anyone wants to add one or two things concerning Victor Osimhen. I mean, he's been fantastic. He was fantastic last season. And this season, people expected him to actually leave Napoli and not stay. But he's staying put with the team because he says this is where he is making it. And of course, he wants to keep making it with the team. In your bank, I don't know if you can chip in one or two things before we move to Man City. I want to talk about. I don't know why I want to talk about Man City. I don't know why I want to talk about.
Victor Osimhen, I was one of those people who thought stay one more season because it's always great where you can build your stock can go higher, and I think he's getting to that point where we can look at him and say one of the best 2-3 strikers in the world. He's getting very close to that point, and when you stay at the club where you're at the peak of your powers, you're a leader in the team, you're scoring goals, your team counts on you, you've got a great fan base who are supporting you, it's always great to stay one more here. Yeah, and I think he started the season well. He didn't score yesterday, but he was his usual nuisance to opponents. And I thought he was just unlucky because he crashed the crossbar once and on another day could have been in the back of the net. And I'm happy for him. I'm excited that he took that decision to stay one more year, and let's see what happens in the future. He had a deal in Saudi Arabia. I mean, I'm sure some family members would have thought, take that deal.
Take that money.
but it's great for Osimhen. We love Osimhen, and it's an absolute asset for the Nigerian team.
Yeah, it's a big asset. When you have a big player like that, you always want him to do so well with the team. Quickly, we'll talk about Manchester City before we move to results coming. No, let's talk about results coming from Europa League. If we have it ready, just earlier, you have Liverpool actually winning 3-1 against Alaska. They were away from home. Is the 6th time or 5th time this season Liverpool go behind, come back to win a game. Union and Toulouse, it ended 1-1. These are earlier games that were decided in the Europa League. We're talking about Group E. That's results earlier today. If we have other results quickly, we just go through them. Villarreal and Panathinaikos. Villarreal lost at Panathinaikos in Greece by 2-0. Rennes and Maccabi Haifa, it was Rennes who won 3-0. FC Sheriff, AS Roma went there. Lukaku was on score sheet for Jose Mourinho's side. He ended 2-1. Servette and Slava Praha winning by 2-0. That's results coming from Group G. And Group H, Bayer Leverkusen and Hakan, it was 4-0. Karabakh and Moda, Karabakh winning by a lone goal in Group H of the UEFA Champions League. Just results coming. We still have so many games going on live in the Champions League. West Ham, for instance, is also in action tonight. Austin, but hey, we're about to wrapping up on the show. If you have some results, from your side, you can just read them out. What's currently going on?
The UEFA Europa League comes with so much upset, surprises. For instance, Abaka Topola, a club from Serbia, they gave West Ham a good run for their money, open scoring, but West Ham somehow found a way back into it. They now lead 3-1. That game is in its 83rd minute. But Cecilia and Inobong, listen to this. It's Brighton 2, AEK Athens 3. Brighton will see Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man U and win. They've seen AEK Athens now and they are losing at home. So that tells you how funny football can be. And when you were talking about Liverpool and the Europa, I was like, football can be so humbling.
Where's Chelsea?
When you think you know it so much, it just humbles you. That's how far we can go on the show tonight. In London, I'm Austin Okonakman. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Inobong, well, thank you so much for coming. Just wrap it up for us. Liverpool, 11 changes were made. So, Jurgen Klopp had to bring in Mo Salah from the bench. Let's see if we can, before these guys who send us, empty-handed. back to Liverpool. But somehow they managed to win it. Just wrap this up for
They
me.
managed to win. Obviously, like you said, they can call on players who can come off the bench, and the quality and the experience will show. But obviously, you need a big squad to be able to, prosecute. I don't think Jurgen Klopp really cares about this competition. He gave you an opportunity to a few youngsters, but if you get to the final and you win it, it can be nice.
Yeah.
But this early stages, I'm sure it would use a lot of young players.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Mogbe. But we'll leave you with what Pep Guardiola is talking about in the Champions League game they played on Tuesday. Good night.
We're playing really, really well. Last two games, I don't know the chances and the clear chances we miss. And football is an important part that we are struggling a little bit. But the way we are playing, of course, running, fighting is. So we said strong in your head and keep going, and at the end we did it. All the action was really good. The assist from Erling was really good, and the movement so quick, and he's so young. It's what a sign we have done. The club has done. From Argentina, he has everything: fighting and goals and assists, and incredible, lovely guy. So the playing behind Erling is an incredible threat. Yeah, really pleased for him because he deserved it. He had the feeling that the game we have started, scored, the chances we had in the first 5-10 minutes, 1 or 2 goals, the game would completely different. But at the end, going the halftime with 0-1 after we have done, that is nice. That maybe we need it. After win the treble, we need this type of challenge to prove ourselves. We were able to make a comeback. What happened in West Ham, and this situation is nice to prove it. And both games they perform incredible. In middle of second half against West Ham, in middle of second half here, we make a goal and we did come back. Things to improve, but in general, is really, really good.
After you lead against the best team in the half, you must calm the players and tell them to continue to play, because you know that City in second half will press more and more. We concede early the first goal in the second half. But for me, we try to do everything. We try to play brave, we try to fight. It's very difficult. We try to press, but we didn't succeed because they moved the ball amazing. We fight, we do everything. We can look now to the mirror and say, we try to play. And I'm proud of our players. And we take this energy for the next game.